Hello, everyone, and welcome to another My Music. We see we're back in the swing of things now. I had 2 weeks away. You kind of missed the music interviews, or some of you didn't even notice. But some people out there did, and messaged me and said, "Are you dead? Are have you stopped doing them or whatever?" No, I had a holiday. Strike me down. I had to get away to try and find some sun, and I did find it. It's on the other side of the world. If you're living in the UK, I'll let you know now. I found it. It's not here. It's on the other side of the world. You have to go to different places in order to find it. Especially today, looking out the window. I don't know what it's like for my guest today, Emily, wherever you are, but it is absolutely peeing it down here in Somerset. What's it like where you are?
It's the same, but I'm wearing sunglasses just to kind of
Right. Do you know what?
I'm hopeful.
I've somewhere on the desk here. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, but I have got sunglasses as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really need them in the UK, but there we go. I'm going to be talking to Emily about her music, her life in music, maybe even her love bomb, which we'll find out what that is after this little video.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Ah, yes. Thank you so much, Analog Trash, for that. It's great because you put that at the start and it wakes everybody up.
Yeah, it woke me up for sure.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Which bit did you particularly like? I love the cat.
I was going to say whatever that little cookie monster thing was.
Yeah, the little cat.
That spoke to me.
Yeah, it takes me back to when Saturday morning TV used to be good, and it used to be for kids.
Yeah,
And then they ruined it, and they just put like cooking on or current affairs and news and whatever. How boring! Let's go back to it. I'd love someone to bring back decent, stupid, Saturday morning TV that's where people could just stay in bed all Saturday morning and watch people throwing, you know, custard pies in people's faces, getting messy,
they have those
gunging them.
like gunge. Yeah, those.
Gunging, yeah, exactly.
What happened to that?
Yeah, exactly. What happened to just silliness?
You raised a very good point.
I know. I think we should campaign for it to happen. I really do. Tell me about you, Emily. Where are you coming from?
Hello. I'm in London at the moment. I've lived here probably about 8 years now.
Nice.
And I love it. I used to very much be an anti-Londoner.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah,
maybe not anti, but I just didn't like the idea of living in a city.
No.
Probably because I grew up somewhere quite remote.
Where did you grow up? Tell us about that.
I grew up in a little village called Goring that no one's heard of, but when they hear that, yeah, they usually say, "Oh, boring, Goring," and I'm like,
No, I have heard of Goring. Now, tell me where that is.
It's kind of on the border of Berkshire and Oxfordshire.
I was going to say it's Berkshire. It is in Berkshire, though. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, no, it is, but there's also Goring by sea. I don't know where that is.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Probably.
I think I've driven through there once. It took about 2 minutes, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not big, not huge, not a lot going on. It's lovely.
No. See, I grew up in a village as well, and and at the time when I grew up there was about 3,500 people, which isn't a lot of people, is it?
No.
If you go back there now, you don't recognise it, and it's grown significantly, and like housing estate after housing estate got put onto it, and it's just it's got too big, and all the fields I used to walk across to school, getting my shoes muddy, so, yeah, all gone, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's something about growing up in a place like that, isn't it? Do you think it's great for actually encouraging imagination? Because actually, when there's nothing, you've got to have imagination.
I was going to say, when there's not much to do, you got to get the imagination out. No, it was a lovely place to grow up. Loads of nature, loads of countryside. I'm a big nature fan.
Cool.
hence the name.
Yeah.
And real community vibe, which I think is important, and I think can be found in cities, but you've got to intentionally find your people.
Yeah. No, it's very, very different. When I went to university, I moved away from there, and I deliberately went to as far away as possible. I went to Sunderland, which is obviously a major city and very, very different as well. Completely different background, sort of social background as well. And it was really quite a shock.
Yes, the bubble is very much burst, I think.
Yeah,
which is great.
I assume the move to London was for the music, was it? As much as anything else, just because that's the scene, that's where gigs can be had, it's where you can meet producers, it's where you can.
Well, it's a bit chicken and egg actually, because
really
it serendipitously occurred that as soon as I moved here, I did start doing music, but I actually moved because of a job I had at the time. I just quit teaching, and I was in a bit of a, what am I doing with my life? So I moved to London and I got this new job. And then as soon as I moved, I started joining loads of different choirs and going to loads of singing workshops and stuff, and just meeting these amazing people. And it kind of organically grew, and I started doing gigs. And that, at that point, I mean, I've always sung, I've always loved singing, but I never really considered it as a career. And then when I moved to London and that started happening, I was like, maybe this is a thing.
Yeah.
So,
Now, we can see, or anyone that's bothers to spend 5 minutes scrolling through your Instagram can see that you've done, you've been in some fairly big choirs, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what sort of got you into choirs? Did you go to church when you were younger, or is this a religious thing, or was this?
Not really a religious thing. I mean, primary school and stuff, we did go to church, but it was usually for sort of, Harvest Festival and stuff, which has some banging tunes.
Doesn't it?
But I think
we plough the fields and scatter,
Honestly, don't get me started, 'cause I'll go down a whole rabbit hole. So I just think, I love my artist work. I love singing, my own stuff on my own, but also there's something very magical about choirs, and for me it's like gospel music mainly, or sort of soul music, something that just kind of moves people and makes them feel something. And I think there's nothing like just being in a group of incredible humans kind of all sharing their talents and connecting together, and also connecting with whoever the audience are, and kind of just taking them on a journey. I think it's like some of my favorite memories are from that, and I'm just I'm very grateful to have met so many of the people I've met through that as well.
I really get that. I've got to know now, you saying that, is Sister Act one of your favorite films?
I do love a bit of Sister Act.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, although I have to say I had to take a little break from it, because probably about 5-6 years ago we did a Sister Act tour where
really?
we went around the UK, and every night it was like the film but with a live choir. And so I sat through that film a lot of times in a row, and I love it, but everyone needs a break. So after that I had to take a little hiatus, but we're back on it now. Great movie.
Are you a kind of person that follows things back in terms of music? So what I mean by that is, so like Sister Act, if you watch Sister Act, the natural kind of progression back from that for me would be, you then watch the Blues Brothers, which obviously features great choir with Aretha Franklin leading that. And you sort of like, do you know what I mean? Do you follow that kind of genealogy, Paul, in terms of music? Do you listen to something that's more current and then go, where did that come from?
I don't think my thought process is as structured as that, but I do love the greats. I grew up listening to a lot of, Aretha and, Etta James and Whitney and Mariah and Tina Turner and all those people. And there's something very timeless about that music, I think, that is needed for us to hold on to, especially in today's industry. But no, not in the way you beautifully described it. It would be a more chaotic sort of, oh, I like that, or I like that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
I mean, especially when you're younger and you're sort of learning to sing or whatever, you do tend to imitate people.
Yes.
So I'd love to know a out of the crowd of people that you famously just mentioned there. Did you imitate any of those, or who growing up out of the sort of people that were in the charts and whatever at the time? Did you imitate for a while?
Well, I remember growing up, I used to like record things off the radio on tape and then play them back and then try and practice. So with Whitney and stuff, like trying to imitate the runs, because I've never had lessons, but it's something I'm going to do now. Yeah. So because I think there's a few things that we just need to sort out. But yeah, I used to record stuff, and then I mean, I used to watch like X Factor. I remember Leona Lewis being on and me being like, oh, and I used to replay that on my granny used to have a VHS recorder because we didn't have one. And I used to go and replay it and probably annoy everyone within a 5-mile radius. But yeah, imitating a lot. And then I still do that today, to be honest. Like, it's much more accessible now, obviously. But I also remember my first CD I ever got.
Oh, go on.
Well, it had I can't even remember who it is, but that song, "It's Got to Be."
Fairground Attraction with Edie Reader. Yeah.
It was that vibe. And I later found out that my mum got that CD for free from Boots. But you know what? It counts. So.
Well, do you know? I had John Douglas, who is her husband, on here. Talking about his latest album, and they've got the Fairground Attraction have actually got back together at the moment. You can actually go and see them again. Yeah, you can actually go and see them again. You should do that.
Maybe I will. Full circle moment, that would be.
I think so. I mean, what a great song. Do you remember the video for that song? They were all on a boat on the canal.
No, I can only imagine. I'm going to look it up after this.
It's a tremendous moment in pop history. So tell me about Love Bomb. I mean, that's a title and a half. I mean, I immediately, whenever someone sort of like, I actually think it's for a start, it's kind of a PC version of Sex Bomb by Tom Jones, isn't it?
Okay, never considered that angle.
Could be though.
Could be.
Which is great because I think Tom probably stepped over the edge with that. He was going through his really kind of like naughty phase because he literally had done Kiss by Prince. You don't have to, and it was a bit his kind of pub singer version, and then sorry Tom, and then he did Sex Bomb, which was kind of raunchy, to be honest. But
iconic.
Iconic. Where did it come? Where did Love Bomb come from? And why the title? Because that's it's a big pop title, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, love bombing is like a term that I don't remember when I first heard it, but it's on TikTok a lot, and yeah, the song came from, I guess, a situation where I think which reflects the broader reality for a lot of people of modern dating, which is like you meet someone and you feel like you've known them before. You feel like there's this connection where you're just picking up where you left off, and it gets very intense, very fast, and it kind of feels too good to be true. Because spoiler alert,
it is.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Lots of people do that, and then they have lovely, lovely relationships. But yeah, it's about the kind of culture of sort of people wanting things very quickly and chasing a feeling, right? And then after however long, whether that's a few weeks, a few months, the dynamic starts to shift, and you kind of are left wondering where that person you met in the beginning went. And I think for me, I started blaming myself and being like, well, what went wrong? What have I done? And I'm very grateful for that song because it taught me a lot in life and just about, how I was projecting maybe a fantasy onto someone, which isn't fair, or how I was also encouraging that intensity. I've got ADHD, it happens. And yeah, it's just a broader song, I guess. I wanted the song to, because it's quite a dark subject, but I wanted the production and everything to feel really upbeat and sassy and sort of empowering, and something you can just kind of sing along to and dance to. But then also get people talking about why we live in this culture where it's just, we see people as disposable on apps, and you know, if a conflict comes up or a challenge comes up, a lot of people are very quick to kind of run away and find someone else because there's infinite choice, or seemingly infinite choice. But I believe that as humans, we all just want authentic, vulnerable, long-lasting connections, or at least connections that are right for that time in our life. And that's why I just now don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Waiting
It's
for the
almost-
universe to do it for me.
It's interesting. I don't think it exists at the moment, and maybe it could do. I'm going to throw it out there to anyone that's listening from the TV world. They're probably saying, oh, that's a load of rubbish. No one's ever going to watch that. But if you think about it, everything, and I wouldn't know about modern dating on apps because of, been married for nearly 25 years, and I'm old. So, but I have got 5 children who are doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that it seems to me like TV now replicates that cultural experience as well. So all of these, like someone, celebs go dating or married at first sight or whatever. It's all that,
Yeah.
an extension of that, right? However, there are some TV programs about, and there was a really good one where they got people to leave their tech behind for about 8 weeks and join an Amish community, and they all had to exist without tech or without any kind of communication.
Remember what that was called?
I don't. It was something like Living with the Amish or something.
I think my friend filmed that, but yeah.
Oh, really? Brilliant.
Yes.
Well, okay. Tell your friend. So here's the next idea, right? Based on your song and your experience and whatever. How about we go back? We take a group of individuals that are used to all of the all of the Tinder and all of that and everything else, and we get them to go back to good old fashioned dating with chaperones and everything. Be great, wouldn't it?
Chaperones.
Chaperones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you've got an idea. I think there's a market gap for that.
I think it'd be great, wouldn't it?
You've got a new business venture on your hands. But I think you're right. Don't get me wrong. Like, nothing's black and white. I think obviously the apps have led to lots of beautiful relationships and connections. But I think what you said, like, it can encourage this kind of normalized toxic behavior. And it's just very hard to kind of navigate. And also, I think apps, when you're sort of connecting with someone and meeting them immediately in a romantic context, doesn't give things time to just breathe and grow and organically unfold. Yeah. Because I think if I've learned anything, is that, like, if something starts that fast, it's probably going to burn out that fast. And like, it's less about feeling the high highs and more about this kind of like safe, long-lasting connections that take time. Yeah. And
can you imagine if people these days, you went round to whoever's house that that you fancy and whatever, and you had to sit there and you do your courting with like the grandmother in the corner of the room watching you, and you'd have half an hour to ask to discuss your day and talk about what it is that you do and what you're interested in, and then you have a cup of tea and you go. That's it.
Okay.
See? That was the old-fashioned courting,
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever really experienced courting.
No. But it'd be interesting to see what it did to people, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Hey? I mean, I'm also at a point where I'm just sort of like, I love my life, If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, we all good.
You have a lot of books on your shelf.
I
Are you
do.
an avid reader?
I need to sort that out, really. It's a bit embarrassing. I do read a lot, yes. But
Does
recently
any
it's
of
been
what you read get into the songs?
good question. I don't think any of my songs so far have come from books, but I think inevitably reading and allowing space to just be and be creative allows things to come out of you.
Yeah.
I find reading very therapeutic, and I guess it's like an escapism into another world. I did write a song about One Day, David Nichols, but I read the book about 10 years ago, and I only wrote the song this year after seeing the Netflix adaptation of it.
There you go.
That's probably the closest thing. But yeah.
Are
you a big reader?
Am I a big reader? So I've gone like that with reading. Okay. So for absolute years, didn't read at all.
Yeah, I hear that. Different phases.
Or really, really, really hated reading all the way through school, all the way through university. Hated reading, hated books. Really, really didn't like it. Just the physical side of reading just tired me, made me sick, etc. Just didn't like it. And yet I struggled with that because at school teachers didn't understand it. I did both Englishes at A level, and I almost went on to do English at university, and they were like, I don't understand how you can write so well if you don't read.
But the thing is, with like prescribed reading at school and uni and stuff, that's different because, if someone's constantly telling you to do something, it's going to get boring, Whereas
I just didn't read. I just didn't read anything, apart from magazines and technical books. I used to read technical books. And then I found a niche. I suddenly found a niche, and then I've read loads of them, hundreds of them, which is autobiographical books by musicians.
Love that.
And I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that, and I think they're some of the best business books in the world. For any of you business people out there that buy or spend your money at airports on, David Jong's book on human existence and leadership in the modern cultural world and diversity and whatever, with some long title that's boring as anything, or politics at work or anything like that. Forget it. Don't do that. Just go and read a book by a musician that's basically come from nothing, made it by putting the effort in, has learned all of the lessons that life has to throw at them as they've gone along, and has built community. Created a fan base, knows how to sustain a fan base by listening to people and giving them part of themselves, and then you know everything you need to know about business. There you go. Simple one.
There we go.
That's my philosophy on it.
Right. No, I agree. I think there's something very special about musicians and creative people and the type of person you have to be to see that through. It's not easy.
No, but it's true though. You see, the thing is, and I'll just catch you on this quickly. But the thing is that so many people in the business world go on and on and on about mindset. And I think, well, musicians just have a mindset anyway. They just have it. Right?
Well, I mean, I think you have to have it, yes, but I think it can always grow. And like, I've certainly noticed this year, since I've done a lot of inner work and removed a lot of, even become aware of my limiting beliefs about myself and fears and where I was operating from in certain areas. And since I've done a lot of that work, which to me initially, and I guess to anyone else, it would be like, that's nothing to do with your singing. It was everything to do with my singing, because now the way I show up is very different and I'm very consistent. And of course, certain things still scare me, but I don't let the fear stop me. If anything, I'm like, this is good because this shows that I'm uncomfortable and I'm growing. And I think there's a lot to be said for turning inward, because I think in music it's often like, we need to network, we need to get on these playlists, we need to do this. And it's like, well, yeah, you kind of do need to do all those things. But if you're doing those things from a space of like desperate energy, or energy where it's like, I don't feel good enough, or I don't actually believe I deserve this, that energy gets picked up. Whereas when you start believing in yourself and showing up consistently and just taking the next best step every day, baby actions, like consistency will get you further than a lot of people, right? And that's when things start coming to you and people start feeling the energy, and yeah, it just kind of creates this ripple effect, I think.
A scary thing being a singer as well. Very scary. Because this, I mean, it's human, right? It's not a bit like, I don't want to scare you, but it's not like, when you play guitar or something else, whatever, unless you lose your hands in a freak sewing accident or something. It's just it's just not going to happen. You're going to be able to play guitar, right? Once you've got to it, right? This, you catch a cold on the train, someone sits too close to you and coughs or whatever, and and actually, if you started thinking about it, you could become completely paranoid, because you'd be like, I want to, like Michael Jackson did for a while, live in a bubble, so that you don't catch anything, and so that your voice is fine. But you've just got to, that's quite a mental thing to get over, I think, as a singer. Is just like, I'm gonna have days where this is not working properly. I'm gonna have days when this is more difficult than others, etc. And you've got to learn how to look after your voice, etc. But also how to navigate it when it ain't a good day.
100%. Like, yeah, I used to be such a perfectionist, and I think figuring out where that was coming from and kind of addressing that stuff has been so helpful. Because it's funny you say that it's scary about getting a cold, because that would be like the least of my fears. I mean, touch wood, I haven't had one. But for me, it's about like, I think writing music is very vulnerable and very exposing in a way. And also, it leaves you open to be either connect with people or be like very misunderstood or whatever. And I think that's why it's so important to really know yourself, because for me, as long as I'm creating stuff that really feels like me and feels right to me, of course I want people to like it, but I know it's an unrealistic expectation that everyone would ever like my music, because that's just never the case with any incredible artist, right? And I almost think someone having an opinion on your music is a good thing, even if they're saying they don't love it. But can't remember what I was saying now. But yeah, I think writing music is just very vulnerable, and it's like, for me, writing stories about moments in time or parts of myself at a moment in time, that then they get put out in the world and they kind of evolve, and my relationship with the song evolves. And I think, it's funny to think how, I'm not sure if that nuance is kind of appreciated always. And a lot of people think, oh, if you wrote this song, that's your view on that thing. And it's like, well, no, that was one moment in time and how I might have felt, and I might have dramatized it, or I might have changed it, or, it's my art. And
it's my art to change my viewpoint on if I want to as well. Yeah.
Well, that you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to say that was me then and it's not me now. Like, you're allowed to do all those things, but I think you also have to let go of control, because art is subjective. And what I love about music is people can relate their own experiences and stories to songs, and those songs take on their own meanings for those people, right? But I think, in a world of social media as well, I try to be as authentic as I can. It's something I've really worked on, to find that balance, because artist me is Emily, but then there's me, Emily, who's not a singer, right? It's just Emily.
Yeah.
So it's quite a tricky one.
I think you're right. And I think it's part of the modern world, full stop.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I write on LinkedIn, I write a post every single morning. It's a question post every single morning, right?
People thinking.
Post is a question. And sometimes you get people go like fire in and go, no, you're you can't talk about this, or actually you've got this all wrong, blah, 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 and you go, well, actually I'm asking a question, so it's
Yeah.
not a complete viewpoint, and but also I'm asking it in a way where actually I'm quite happy if you, throughout the process of people commenting on that post and whatever, and the discussions that come out of it, if you can change my mind on it, or if you do make me question myself on it or whatever, that's fine. And and a lot of people these days struggle with that. They go like, well, hang on a minute, you started off, you can't, and it's like, well, why not? Why isn't it okay just to be questioning and not feel that you do know the answer to everything?
I think there's a lot to be said for just being curious. And as you said, like, you can have an opinion on something and then be open to actually deeply listening to what other people say and being like, oh, okay, like I'd never considered that, or you've made me think about this really differently. But honestly, I think it's very liberating when you realize that the way most people respond to things is everything to do with them and their filter of the world and their lens and their own wounds and all that jazz. And it's actually very little to do with you. So it's quite nice to just be like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I think you're totally right. Now, listen, very quickly, because we're doing well on the old time thing. So I'm conscious that I've had half an hour with you already. Thank you. So just tell us very quickly about the big choir action that you've had, because you've done some big stuff in the choir stuff. Which was been your favourite sort of big choir moment?
Yeah, I mean, I've been so lucky. I'm very, very blessed to have sung with lots of different choirs. I think this year I went to Romania with Gospel Touch on tour.
Wow.
And it was my first international gig, hopefully first of many. But it was just the most beautiful experience that I kind of struggled to describe in words. But Romania as a country is absolutely beautiful. I'd never been there before, and we were in this town called Sibiu. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was kind of 5 hours from Bucharest up this beautiful mountain road in Transylvania. So it's very, draconian architecture, and like the buildings in the square had eyes, and like it just felt like something out of a movie, and it was just very beautiful. And the people there were just so lovely and welcoming. And we just sang in these absolutely beautiful churches and cathedrals. And it didn't matter that, none of the people coming spoke English, because music is like a universal language. And even if at the beginning everyone was a bit like, oh, what's happening? With Gospel Touch, like by the end, like you can't help but like get involved, basically. And then the people I went away with as well, I think I've just developed such amazing relationships with, and it just makes me realize everything happens in its right time. And I think, those people just massively inspired me, and a lot of them are artists themselves. It just really changed my perspective on a lot of stuff. And also I was just like, wow, I'm traveling the world singing, doing what I love. Is this real? But it is
cool. That is so cool. So thank you for coming and joining me. What are you working on at the moment? What can people expect to hear from you soon? And how can people help you? How can they support you?
How can they support me?
Yeah, of course. That's what we're here for.
Listen to my music,
and pay you money for it.
Pay me if you want. That's allowed.
Buy you a cup of coffee if they see you in the street. But we'll probably say hello first, because otherwise it's a bit weird.
Yeah, hello is always a good starting point,
Hello. Not just walk up to you randomly with a cup of coffee and go, there you are.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't mind that either. I'm a big coffee gal. Drink too much coffee. But no, I'm doing lots of gigs. So come along to them if you fancy. I'm working on some new material at the moment, which is very different to the stuff I've released before. So I'm very excited about that. don't know when it will be coming out, but I'm hoping next year.
It's not hardcore. It's not like heavy metal or it's nothing like
No,
that.
no, no. I mean, I say different. I mean, I call myself pop because I think I'm firmly in the pop. But the thing with my songs is, I start from the story point and what that story needs sonically to be told in the way I'd like it to be told, rather than
Right.
I'm in this genre. So my music so far kind of spans different bits, and like Griff, for example, is one of my huge inspirations, and she does that. Anyway, I digress. The new music is more, I'd say, sort of neo soul, R&B, gospel-y vibes. Because I'm still quite new. I'm still discovering my sound, and I think, as we said, it's important to allow people to change and evolve. If you look at like Tori Kelly's latest album, it's completely different to her other stuff, and she got some backlash for that. And I was like, let her do her, So that, yeah. And then, yeah, I'm just going to be gigging as much as possible. Hopefully getting an EP out in 2025 sometime. And just going along to as many events and meeting as many people and meeting, as many other creative people as possible, because I think
I love that.
Together we achieve better stuff, and that's
Collaboration's my middle name. I literally changed it to collaboration. Yeah, I just thought it. Well, I had rubbish middle names, and I had to get rid of them because they were awful. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. So yeah, I just changed it to collaboration. I think it's good. I think collaboration is the thing of the moment.
Yeah.
Personally,
like there's so many things I don't know. I've got very comfortable with the fact that I don't know a lot of things, and I find that really exciting. But I'm also like, oh my gosh, if I meet someone, and because I think chemistry and like connection outside of the music is important for all of these collaborations as well, because there needs to be an element of safety and trust. But if someone else can do that thing 100 times better than me, go on. Like, I want to learn from you. I want to create something together. I think don't try and do this stuff alone. Like, it's so much. The outcome will be better. Your mental health will be better. And I don't think anything great ever happened from trying to do stuff all on your own. So
absolutely, I totally agree with you there. And the reason being, folks, that Emily's completely right about this. A little bit of wisdom from Uncle Graham to finish today is because life's about a discussion. It is a discussion. It's about discourse, and if you discuss things on your own, you only ever have your own opinion, and you're just basically echoing back at yourself. There you go.
Yeah,
deep
therapy is important.
Yeah. Deep thought for whatever time you're listening to this. There's probably some people listening at 2:00 in the morning now going, wow.
Yeah, now having an existential crisis. Yeah, that's me. So
there you go. Emily, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. I hope this has been an interview you've enjoyed. If you haven't, you can let me know. But if it has, then good. And people, if you've been listening, I hope you've enjoyed it as well. And thank you for putting up with me for nearly 500 episodes of this now. I don't know if someone can ever find out how many what the record is for people that have done sort of music interview podcasts. I'd love to know. I just need to know how many more years of this I've got to keep going to get that. So I can get in the Guinness Book of Records. That would be great. Until next time, thank you so much for Emily coming on today. This has been My Music. If you've enjoyed this, do go and share it with your friends and family. If you haven't, 40 minutes nearly of your time has been wasted, and I'm sorry about that. As usual, the address that you can write to claim back your 40 minutes will be written in Sanskrit at the bottom of the page, and you can, if you can decipher it, you can get it back. We will speak to you soon. Bye for now.